New Mexico, 2032. A politician gives a speech about the completion of the wall separating Mexico from the United States. Once there were a lot of people living here illegally, but now all this is over, and it is a great merit of Tesla Corporation, which 10 years ago created wonderful robots that easily perform human tasks. They don't rob and rape decent Americans and don't protest when they get rid of them. The speech ends and the robot janitors clean up the meeting place. A young man arrives at a skating rink where he encounters an attractive young woman with whom he becomes romantically involved. A while later, the same man notices the woman and helps her pack a baby stroller, for which she thanks the guy. And then he watches as the robot janitor breaks down while performing a task and ends up in the garbage truck himself. Going up to his office, he greets his stepfather, who is his boss. The old man is pleased, because Charles has perfectly proved himself, constantly forwards flowers for his mother, and in general is a very good son. In addition, the guy finally forgot his unhappy love, which went to his half-brother. In the evening, Charles arranges a date with a girl from the skating rink and goes home, where Charles is waiting for him. It turns out that C2 is a robot replacing his human master. Charles specially made his copy to get rid of annoying and complicated events at work, preliminary dates with girls, because in a relationship he is interested only in the intimate side. The next morning, Charles hears the news that one of the leading analysts of the company is sentenced to 28 years in prison for owning a robot double, because it is strictly prohibited by law. The man decides not to leave the house at the same time as his doppelganger. In the evening, he goes to the girl with whom he went on a date C2 and, having received his, goes to the skating rink, where he gets acquainted with a very attractive girl, whose name is Elaine. Returning home, he instructs the robot to break off relations with the previous girl, who wants to introduce him to her parents. He starts courting the next one, showing Elaine his talents. He plays the trumpet, scores bowling balls, and buys everything his new girlfriend likes. He's never felt anything like it and is determined to make their first time unforgettable. One evening, his doorbell rings, and after blinding the man with a bright flashlight, orders him to let an FBI representative inside. Charles realizes that it is his friend Ashley, who is aware of the doppelganger he has. The man tells army tales of his adventures as a ninja, for which Charles calls him Ninja. Meanwhile, Elaine arrives home where she is greeted by her robot doppelganger E2. Elaine wonders how her day went and orders her to make love to Charles, who bored her with his correctness. E2 reports on the other men's calls and, after calculating the amount of money and gifts delivered from them, orders her to end relationships with men of little prospect. Charles, meanwhile, goes to the office, on the way almost hitting a stroller with a child and showing himself very disrespectful, and then with difficulty pretends to be a loving son, listening to the invitation of his stepfather to come to a meeting of the board of the company, whose members decide the question of his admission to management. The thing is that the meeting with him is scheduled for the same time as the date with Elaine, and Charles doesn't like it very much. He rushes home and orders C2 to go to the meeting, while he'll go to Elaine's, but the robot reminds him of his own rule: don't go out with both of them at the same time. But the man is already interested in a future date and is willing to overlook the danger. Charles gives the robot the address and goes to prepare for the meeting. Later, he arrives at the given address and, having dismissed the butler who opened it, passes into the room, where he turns off the light beforehand. Entering the dark room, he proposes to the woman to make love, describing in detail what and how he will do with her. At that moment, the light comes on and the guy sees a meeting of the financial department headed by his stepfather. Charles jumps out the door, realizes that he mixed up the addresses. Elaine, meanwhile, is dropping off gifts received from her many men to a pawn shop, looking at a video tribute to E2 and C2. The salesman, impressed by the footage, offers to sell him the video, and Elaine promises to think about the matter, while the robots experience a veritable storm of passion. In the morning, Charles is unable to contact his doppelganger, while Elaine is unable to contact E2. They both enter the house, where they come face to face. At first, they cautiously try to find out everything about the previous night, when their phones receive calls from the doppelgangers, who confess that they have fallen in love and intend to go to Mexico, where androids are equal in rights with humans. It turns out that the womanizer and the money hunter wanted to fool each other, but something happens that no one could have expected, and Elaine becomes enraged, but Charles quickly calms her down. They could both get big sentences for using robot doppelgangers. After talking, the pair find out that both robots are made by the same person and head off to see him. On the way, Charles shares with the woman his pride that his pickup truck is the only car in the US painted that color, but Elaine in turn expresses her contempt for him. She uses her doppelganger to avoid going to bed with everyone, but he has completely replaced himself in the relationship, seeking only carnal pleasures. The couple comes to Zach and he, having learned about what happened, panics, because he too can get a sentence for making doppelgangers. There is only one way out: to find and destroy the robots. He uses the GPS system and finds the fugitives and asks the couple to help him. Charles goes to the bathroom and calls Ashley Ninja, after which all three of them go to the right address. Upon reaching the motel, Zach arms the couple and shows them the room occupied by the robot lovers. Realizing what the androids are up to, Elaine rushes inside and knocks out the doppelganger. Charles does the same. The couple transfer the robots to the van and return to the room to retrieve the items borrowed by the doppelgangers, when Ashley bursts in and tests both of them by poking them in the eyes with his finger, as he believes this is the only way to identify the robot. While the pair try to prove they are human, the robots come to their senses and hide in their van. Elaine is furious, but with nothing to do, they return home. In the morning, Charles goes to work and gets into a meeting, where his father suggests he take a break, because his actions show that the guy is clearly not himself. After which he shows footage of Charles, actually C2, doing old things in the office. In the evening, the man goes home, where he is caught by a call from Elaine. He goes to a meeting, which takes place at a table in a cafe, and he confesses that he is ready to destroy his double. After that, the girl goes ostensibly to the toilet, and herself jumps into his car and leaves. And then at the same time, Elaine jumps out of the cafe, who unsuccessfully catches up with her car, stolen by Charles, and when the couple collide, they realize that they have been tricked by robots and they have just told the doppelgangers about their plans. Just then they see the doppelgangers transfer into Elaine's car, leaving Charles's pickup truck by the side of the road. They are trying to catch up with the androids when they receive a video message that the robots are heading to Mexico, followed by footage of a robbery done by their doppelgangers. The couple is horrified. Now they are sure to be arrested. Charles suggests Elaine stay at his stepfather's cabin in the woods. They arrive in the wilderness and settle in for the night. Elaine shows herself a skillful hostess, unlike Charles, and he offers the girl alcohol. Thus, the night turns into a fun party that briefly tries on the couple. In the morning, Charles demonstrates a repainted car. It looks ridiculous, but not so recognizable, which causes laughter. The guy takes her to the river, offering to catch fish for breakfast, but the girl, tired of waiting, kills a trout with a gun. After eating the fish, the couple sets off towards Mexico, and near the border they are stopped by a policeman who checks their documents but lets the couple go, advising them to clean the rear brake light from the paint. At first, Elaine laughs at Charles's loser, but realizes that the police have no orders to catch them. They revisit the videos they received from the robots and realize that it's all just staged and the robots never thought of going anywhere, and are currently enjoying life pretending to be human. The couple drives to their stepfather's house. Many learn that their doppelgangers have decided to get married. The couple sneaks into the house dressed as robot cleaners. They listen to the newlywed speech, watch their first dance, follow them into the changing room, where they manage to knock out both doppelgangers and, throwing them out the window, load up the van. Soon they reach the shore of the lake, where they dump C2 into the water. But after taking on E2, the woman decides to take off her gold jewelry. When the robot comes to its senses, C2 swims out and hides, and Charles offers to make it into robot bait. But Elaine knows there's no way E2 will agree to play bait and suggests going to Zach. It turns out he has another model of Elaine, and it's on those terms that he agrees to make her doppelganger. Zach brings out E3 and reprograms her to Charles, after which Elaine records a video for C2. The latter, upon receiving it, can't believe his beloved could behave like that. The angry robot rushes after her, but on the way he is spotted by the police. Surprised by his speed, the sheriffs rush in pursuit. C2 breaks into Zach's apartment and finds a body barely wrapped in a wedding dress. When a policeman follows, he enters and arrests the entire foursome. The sheriff, upon learning that they are robots and their masters are nearby, is euphoric at the supposed reward for solving the crime. He tells the humans to get comfortable because they will have to spend the next 40 years behind bars, and the robots can say goodbye because they will only meet at the recycling center. The policeman goes home while the humans and robots start a conversation, during which the robots confess that they are ready to die together because love is the most important thing in life and they would rather die as robots in love than live as humans without love. Charles asks to call his lawyer and dials Ninja's number, and a while later the deputy receives a call about a crime. The woman leaves and Ashley infiltrates the station and frees the foursome. The humans and their doppelgangers drive to the Mexican border, separated by their plans for the future. But at the checkpoint they are stopped, and after checking only the robots are allowed through and the police arrive, who after checking the humans tell the sheriff that they are humans and there is nothing to detain them for. Charles and Elaine kiss, and later they have a real wedding. This movie deals with the complex issues of love and how people relate to each other. Let me know what you think of it in the comments.